What's going on, guys? This is Meek and Woo from Fourth and Fantasy. We're here for FTR. We're giving you a video. Today we're going to talk about post free agent trade for, trade against, or trade away. So we're gonna talk about a couple of names for you today. First one, I'm gonna kick it off for us, Woo. First one you're gonna need to have is Kenneth Walker, running back out of Seattle. Now listen, I know some of us are probably disappointed in what you got from Kenneth Walker this past year, dealing with injuries the past 2 years and things like that, but he is on the up and up. Don't worry about Kenneth Walker. Clint Kubiak is coming into town, and if you're not familiar with Clint Kubiak, all I need to do is see Alvin Kamara,
yes.
Right? Alvin Kamara had, phenomenal seasons. Clint Kubiak was actually the offensive coordinator there, with Kamara. So he brings in, a little bit of a Kyle Shanahan type system. So think Christian McCaffrey and things like that. So they're going to run the ball a lot. And Walker is someone that you're going to probably want to have, right? So last year had 153 rushing attempts, 573 yards, 3.7 yards per carry, and 7 touchdowns. But he also had some good work in the receiving game, right? 46 targets, 299 yards, and a touchdown. And the other key piece that we haven't talked about, right, is they have severely diminished their passing game, right?
100%.
Will DK Metcalf's gone, Geno's been traded, they released Lockett. Yes, Cooper Kupp comes to town, but I think with the way this offense is now shaping up, I think you're going to see some big things for Kenneth Walker.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So Woo, why don't you give us our second trade for target?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Isaac Guerendo. Meek's been on this guy for about a month now, I would say. So you were early to the party on this. Last year he had 84 attempts, only 429 rushing yards and 5 a carry, sprinkling a couple touchdowns there. He got some receiving work, but again, he was working behind Jordan Mason. Christian McCaffrey was out for the year. But now Elijah Mitchell is signed with Kansas City. Jordan Mason has been traded to Minnesota, so he is now the RB2, and he sits behind Christian McCaffrey, yes, but we've seen over the years Christian McCaffrey is someone who struggles with injury.
Absolutely.
And he's Guerendo's in a situation, in San Francisco where they run the ball effectively. They're a part of a great offense, and we saw Jordan Mason have some really big weeks to start the year last year without McCaffrey. So it's a great offensive line. The running backs are averaging 5 yards a carry behind them, so he will get meaningful touches if McCaffrey does miss time.
I would agree, absolutely. Third trade for target we're going to give you guys is Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, listen, I know it wasn't the rookie season that we were expecting, but we refuse to believe that his disappointing rookie year has anything to do with his lack of talent, right? That was the big thing that they always talked about, was he's insanely talented, and it showed in his stat line, right? He had 116 targets, and Woo and I are big proponents of targets are an earned stat. So 100%. If you're getting 116 targets, like you got some talent, right? Had 62 receptions, 885 yards, 7.6 yards per target, and 14 yards per catch with 8 touchdowns. Like those are good stat lines for a normal rookie, right? We obviously wanted more from Marvin Harrison Jr., but this might be the time where you want to target, prioritizing him and trying to trade for him, right? Like I said, targets were there, but they never had a connection with Murray, and I believe the offensive coordinator is out for the year. They moved on to a new one, so you have potentially a new system and things like that. This is definitely going to be the cheapest that you can get Marvin Harrison Jr. right now, because I believe, and we both believe, after this year, he's going to move. He's going to, ascend, and you're going to be paying a lot steeper price than what you could be paying right now. To top it off, there's no competition in the wide receiver room. Michael Wilson is the wide receiver 2. Yes, there's Trey McBride, but there's plenty of, between the two of them, plenty of targets to go around. And the draft capital is there. He was the 4th overall pick. You don't turn away from a 4th overall pick if you're the Arizona Cardinals. So this is your time right now to go and get Marvin Harrison Jr. We're going to move into our trade away candidates. We got 2 for you. Woo, why don't you give us the first one?
Yeah, the first one's going to be DK Metcalf. So in 2024, he had 66 catches, 108 targets, 992 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So he was flirting with that 1,000-yard number. He had 15 yards per reception and 9.2 yards per target. The problem with Metcalf is he gets traded to Pittsburgh, probably the worst situation he could have ended up in. Pittsburgh currently doesn't have a quarterback. We're recording this on March 23rd, so no, they have yet to sign anybody. We don't know if they're going to take someone in the draft. So just that point alone is a big red flag for Metcalf. Not only do they not have a quarterback, but he also joins a receiver room with George Pickens, who a lot of people are very high on. He's a very talented receiver. We haven't seen him perform the way we've exactly wanted to thus far. But again, this is just taking away targets from Metcalf, so that's a problem.
Absolutely.
And then from weeks 11 through 18 last year, he was a wide receiver 35. We've seen what Metcalf can do, and he's definitely much more talented than the fantasy wide receiver 35. So to be sent to a situation where he has no quarterback, and he's also competing for targets with Pickens, this is a problem.
Yeah, I would agree. The second trade away target we're going to give you is Keon Coleman, rookie wide receiver out of Florida State, plays for the Buffalo Bills. Listen, I know a lot of people were high on Keon Coleman, and the wide receiver class was deep. However, when you look at his statistics and you go deep into the metrics, right? 29 receptions, not great, and only got 57 targets for 556 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had 19.2 yards per reception, which is good, and 9.8 yards per target, which is good, but he only gave you the wide receiver 67 last year. And I know in Dynasty Fantasy Football, we talk about year 2 wide receivers taking that leap. However, there are a couple of things that are going to be hindering him in doing that. First thing is the Bills signed Joshua Palmer in the offseason. Now I know Joshua Palmer doesn't light the world on fire, but he is a target that is taking targets away from Keon Coleman. On top of that, their number 1 receiver, Khalil Shakir, signs a 4-year extension. And that right there, if you look into the tea leaves of offseason moves, he's the main man. Khalil Shakir is, So if we take those 3 things, not enough targets and to be relevant, signing of Josh Palmer, and the extension of Khalil Shakir, it's a recipe for disaster, I should say, for Keon Coleman, and it might be time to get out right now.
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We appreciate you taking a look at this video. If you like it, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you on the other side.
See ya.